All right, welcome to another episode of Chally and the Boys. I am your host, Stephen Chalicum, and you can follow me and the boys on Twitter at ChallyATB. And join with me tonight, thankfully, after the Cowboys' playoff win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are both of the co-hosts, Will and Stash. Gentlemen, how are you doing the day after the Cowboys have won their first road playoff win since like '92?
This is the Tom Brady retirement party. That's
Mm.
what this is.
I'm just, I'm fantastic. The Bucks stopped here last night with the
Oh no.
Cowboys.
Wow,
Okay.
that was
Okay.
real cliche-like, I guess, or whatever. Or I don't know. Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, so it was a huge win. Granted, all three of us, I think, all three of us did predict Dallas to win, some
Yep.
more comfortably than others, and I would like to be on the record saying that I was the one who was the closest to the score and thought it would be the most comfortable win.
True.
Um, and even then, the score really was not indicative of how the game went, right? Like the Buccaneers had a really late touchdown that it was a trash touchdown, trash time. Dallas was doing anything they could to just get off the field healthy, right? So
Yep.
it was more of a blowout than even I anticipated, which is great, right? Like I mean, we'll take it. Great wins, ugly wins, fucking clean wins, whatever. It's playoff wins. So
True.
Stash, let's start with you. What's I get you know first thoughts or what's your biggest takeaway from the game last night?
I mean, my biggest takeaway is fucking Brett Maher. I mean, that's the
Okay.
only surprise really out of last night. I mean, we've seen everything else that happened yesterday. I mean, we've seen the offense put up 30 some points before. We've seen the defense shut teams down, give people hassle. Never seen a kicker miss 5 straight extra points, dating back to the prior week.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Right.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it was ugly.
Like, I mean, I texted you guys during the game after he missed the first one. I was like, I wouldn't have sent him back out there again.
Yeah, and to do it three
That was,
more times, I was surprised. I mean, I could see the second one, right? But after you miss two, it's kind of just like, man, especially at the rate the game was going, it's, you know, why not just go for two, right? It was the game was well in hand. Like I said, after Dallas scored the second one, which I know was only 12 nothing, but um, the defense was
but even
the Dallas
like,
defense was doing whatever it wanted all night.
Wow.
yeah, even then though, like at 12-0, I'm just they're still in it.
True.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I mean, right. It's technically only a two-score game, but uh, you know, like I
Even
said,
at
after
18,
that,
yeah,
the
or
Dallas
18's not a two
defense
score, but
had
yeah,
everything under control. So I would have been kosher not doing it from there, but uh,
yeah, that was wild.
I
What was
also think
wild?
at some point I suppose, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, right? But I suppose once he gets to the third missed point after, do you think they're sending him out there again anyway in hopes that he
Yes.
gets back into rhythm? It's like fuck, he's already missed three. What's another one? What's two more? Let's. That's why he ended up getting the fifth one, or I guess technically sixth. He broke his miss streak. I think that was a part of that as well. I'm not
But
worried about it moving forward. I kind of agree with Jerry Jones for once, right? Like one, it's not like you can just go find a kicker you trust on the streets right now at this time of the year. Um, and he's been near perfect all season up until last night. So
I don't think they can cut him or move on from him anyway because Dak basically said we all go through this shit. He's not going nowhere. We got his back. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's what he said. So I don't think they're gonna undermine Dak. You know what I mean?
yeah, and
I think yeah, Dex said at the press conference, he was like, yeah, he's like, I played like shit last week, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if he didn't say those things, I don't think there's any way they're moving
No.
on
No.
from him right now, right? Like I don't know. Will, what about you? Biggest takeaway, favorite part of the game, or whatever?
Well, it's just like Josh just said. There is that we've seen the offense, the defense play like that. We've seen good games from the special teams. So the special teams, the kick and then the not handling the onside kick, or the missed kicks and then the onside kick, fumble or whatever the hell you want to call it, not catch thing.
Hmm.
That was kind of surprising, but I thought it was really impressive that we had such a good offensive game and also the defense in the same game.
Yeah,
Putting those two sides of football at it together. So I thought that was the most important thing to me.
Yeah, it was very much like the Minnesota game, right? Like the Minnesota game for
Yeah.
Dallas was a through and through complete game. Um, at least statistically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did actually tweet that out at one point. It was nice seeing them firing on all cylinders on both sides of the field, not just one or the other, because we pretty much did see one or the other throughout the year, with of course, the exception of a couple games. Um, I'm gonna go with something.
I was just gonna ask you, what about you?
Oh, see, it's nice to know you care.
Mm-hmm.
So I had briefly mentioned when we did the like post game type talk from the Redskins
Mm-hmm.
Commanders. I don't know if you can say Redskins. Oh shit. Um,
Demonetized.
that Dalton Schultz he led the Cowboys in targets going into the Commanders, not going into the Commanders, at the Commanders, excuse me. And how I thought that was like, man, like they're obviously not like giving two shits right now. There's no way they're going into the playoffs where Dalton Schultz is your leading target. Um, I don't think that was their plan, right? Like I think they just saw that Dalton was wide open over the middle. And I wish I could clip one of our other episodes, because I know that is also something we spoke about in week one going into Tampa, was how they should have been able to tear apart the middle of this Tampa Bay defense, because that is where they're weak. But so that's one of my biggest takeaways. And the second one is actually, I'll cheat. I'm going to take two. I know y'all didn't take two. I didn't
Oh,
ask
okay.
you for two.
Hmm.
Was that Leighton Vander Esch is
He's an
not the
animal.
best player on the defense, but he's probably the most important. I think
It
there's
could
a
be.
clear difference when LVE is on the field and not, and I think we saw that the last 3 or 4 weeks. Again, for anybody who does actually listen to this, not the best player on the defense, but the most important. He just seems to kind of be like that glue that holds everything together in the middle. I know the return of Jonathan Hankins significantly helped there as well. Fat Man got a sack as well, but I think
He
LVE
played really
could.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, they both did. I think LVE could arguably be the most important person to the defense.
I can tell you one person who listens to this podcast,
Okay.
Will's dad.
Okay.
maybe, but I was going to say Dan Quinn. I mean, he must have been listening to this podcast. He put out something that we had not seen from Dallas all season, which we've been calling for, which
Yeah.
was for Dallas to go, especially with their trouble with third corners, Dallas to go
More
big
safeties.
nickel with the extra safety. They put that out there, and that I think that gave Tampa a look they weren't expecting, because they did not figure out how to take advantage of it.
Are you specifically talking about Mukwamo, or just the three safeties in general, or
I was just going with three safeties in
the look?
general, but
Okay.
Mukwamo played excellent.
Yeah, I
Played
think
really,
it's
really
definitely
good.
a combination of both, right? The look and Mukwamu played, very well.
Oh
Almost
yeah,
had
the
an
combination
interception.
of
He was always around the ball. Yeah,
Hooker Wilson,
curse.
Curse, Mukwamo.
Yeah, there was a bunch of packages actually where all four of them were on the field, so that was actually fun to watch as well.
I think that'd be something that Dallas could take into San Francisco too, just because they have Debo, they've got Ayuk, who are two bigger wide receivers. So
Yeah. Do you
getting these
have
guys some tackles.
do either one of you guys have the snap counts? Can you text it to
No,
me if you
not
do?
yet. I also haven't really looked, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I just figured if me and Steve talk for a minute, maybe Stash could find it real quick. You know what I mean? Because he's fast like that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I can go back to Dalton Schultz. I mean, he had a huge game. He only had, I don't want to say only, but only had 7 receptions for 95 yards, right? Like the yardage there was huge. The efficiency was the big part, right? Like, I mean, what is that average? Fucking 12
Yeah,
fucking yards a reception or some shit like
15 or
that.
something.
12
Yeah,
times.
yeah. Well, a lot
That's
for
more
him.
than that. Whatever. Extremely efficient. And that's what we needed, right? Like if CeeDee Lamb's gonna draw all of that coverage, all eyes on CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz and Michael Gallup needed to have big games. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, both of them did. Michael Gallup only 5 for 46, but only had 6 targets, right? So again, highly efficient from Michael Gallup and converted when needed.
I don't remember the exact situation in the game. I don't remember if it was early or late, but he had the one catch on the sideline.
Yeah.
When
It was
he
the third
came
and
back
long,
for the
right?
ball, and it was just, I was like, damn, man, where the hell has that been? You know what I mean? It was like a huge, it was a huge play in the game.
Yeah.
I think it was early. I don't know. But
I think his first catch was like a big one just because it was like the first completed pass. It was a bit high from Dak, but after seeing
That's it. Yeah,
when he came back to the ball, yeah, exactly.
after seeing the replay, I think Dak threw it high because there was a linebacker underneath, and he did not at any point wanted that to get picked off. So he threw it. I mean, obviously it was a little high. Gallup had to go up for it, but I did notice that in a couple throws yesterday. Well, especially early on, you had the high throw from on that one there, and there was another one where Dak was very observant. It was a third down. He ended up taking a sack. I think it was the second drive of the game. He was going to go to CD Lamb. Like it was either a quick slant or like a curl. CD started like tumbled out of his route, and Tampa brought pressure, but like he was almost on the ground, and he ended up eating a sack. But it was nice to see him just not throw the ball there, because if he threw it, it probably would have been intercepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Go ahead.
Dak was on point last night.
Yeah, man, he was. I mean, I know myself, and not that I'm anyone, myself and national media and Cowboys media, their beat writers, the big names, whatever, wherever everybody's beating him up for the interceptions. And this is just the game Dak needed to have, right? Like to shut everyone up. He didn't throw any interceptions and was on point all night. But not having the turnovers, whether it bounced off a receiver's hand or was a bad throw or whatever, was huge, right? Like, I know Dak could have had that kind of game, but obviously with the previous 8 weeks or whatever it was not trending that way. So if he can keep that up going into San Francisco, that's going to be huge, right? Like I mean, you can say that about any kind of quarterback, or not any kind, but any quarterback, right? No interceptions, but if he can not have the interceptions, that is going to go a really long way. Going against the San Francisco defense, that's probably bringing more quarterback pressures than Dallas is.
So I've got a question for you guys, just because the way you were talking about San Francisco, it brought a thought to my mind, and you were talking about Dak and the offense. Which side of the ball do you think Dallas needs to replicate their play from last night in Sunday night's game or Sunday afternoon's game?
Easily the defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the defense is the easy answer. However, the replication in the sense that like they need to play that elite again, yes, but the style of defense is going to be total opposite, right? Like they're hitting Deebo Samuel out in the flats for fucking 75-yard gains. Tampa Bay didn't even attempt anything like that. So while we're going to need this defense to be elite again, they're going to need to be elite in different ways, which I think they're going to struggle with. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there to talk about that.
Right.
But yeah, far more important that the defense plays elite than the offense. Why? What do you think there, Joshua?
Well, I think I agree. I think the defense has to play to that level again, but that's only because I think since Dak's been back, the offense has been playing that level the whole damn time.
Dak's been back.
Since Dak's been back, they've been averaging 32 points a game.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right. But you saw, I mean, the problem is when you want him, the knock before this year is that he doesn't take enough chances, right?
This year he's taken more chances.
So he's thrown more picks, which is not the end of the world. It's just the picks have been ugly.
Yeah, some of them have been really
especially the one
bad.
in Washington, man, where he almost got picked to play before on an out route, and then the very next play, like the same route. You just can't, that's just kind of stuff that like, that's the type of stuff that makes you want to turn the TV off. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Excuse me.
Yeah. So, what else do you guys have from the game? Or, I think it was really. Go ahead.
So this does not happen enough, or you don't ever see this enough. But I think this was one of the most important things that happened in the game that didn't actually count towards anything, because on the fumble, right, that Hooker ran back and made a bunch of dudes miss, blah blah blah, right. I don't know if you guys saw this or anybody picked it up. I don't even know if it's on the interwebs yet. I'm sure it's on the interwebs, whatever. But the ball comes loose, right? And let's say it's like, I don't know, 8 yards away from everybody, right? That's how it squirted out and it just started rolling, right? And I don't know if anybody else picked this up, right? But Evans is going for the ball, right? And Diggs is to his right, and the ball is right in front of both of them.
Yeah.
And instead of being a moron and diving for the ball, Diggs,
He blocked them off.
What I mean, that's one of the most high IQ plays I've seen in an NFL game in a long time.
I saw that right away, man. And actually, so one of the dudes I follow up, blogging the boys, tweeted,
Okay.
Essentially like, what the fuck is Trayvon Diggs doing, not going for the ball? And I was like, I responded to him. Not that he responded back, but I was like, dude, like
Sure.
he's clearly going to block Mike Evans so
Yeah.
that Hooker can go for the scoop, right? Like this is a huge play. I mean, obviously it got turned around because it wasn't a fumble, but like Diggs made an extremely smart play. Yeah, like I mean, if it was a fumble, Diggs gives Hooker the ability to pick it up cleanly and return it, the potential 15 or 20 yards, whatever it was. Maybe even more, I forget. But yeah, man, that was a huge play. Unfortunately, it just was not actually a fumble.
How close was it to a fumble too, right? Like, I mean, it like hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not even 100% sure it wasn't, but I'll just whatever.
I'm kind of baffled with the NFL. I mean, I've been baffled with their reviews on how it's supposed to be clear, irrefutable evidence. Like, how can you tell me that's clear?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the call on the field, I mean, either way, that's what I'm saying. If they called it a catch or incomplete on the field, that's fine. But how can you overturn that? That's what I just don't see that. I didn't see how close it was.
Did you go ahead?
I was gonna say the only thing I could ever think of in that situation is that we don't see all the same stuff they see in the booth thing or whatever.
Show.
But if that's the case though, that's bullshit by the NFL and they need to fix that.
Yeah, we should be able to see everything the refs do, right? Especially something that's potentially very controversial.
There's got to be like a time limit. Like they went to commercial and stuff like that, and then they came back and they were still looking at it. Like if it's supposed to be clear, indisputable evidence, you can't be looking at that thing for 5 minutes. And,
it's obviously not clear at that point.
Yeah, it's not clear. So, but that's just with replay in general. I mean, luckily it didn't affect the game. It was close, so.
Yeah. Did you see on that same play during Hooker's return, Tom Brady trying to trip him?
Oh, he came in studs up. Yeah, he would have got thrown out of a soccer game for that.
He better catch a fine for that.
He won't, but yeah, I mean what a shitty, dirty play, man. Like,
well, he's a pussy.
Somebody should have just stomped on his ankle while he was fucking flopping around on the floor like that. Whoops,
one of the defensive linemen should have tuned him up, right there.
I don't think they saw it. To be honest.
No, yeah, right. I mean, yes. I would assume, because I haven't heard anybody say anything about it either. So
yeah.
Well, and while we're on the defensive big brain plays, I thought this was a good play too. I wouldn't say it was a big brain play, but what did you guys think about when Wilson? I guess he hurt Gage or whatever, but they on the broadcast they try to make it sound like that Wilson punched him, like just because he was going like this. I assume he was either trying to wrap him up or punch the ball. Like they made it sound like he sucker punched him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think, and also, I mean. Even if he sucker punched him, that didn't give him a back injury.
I think it was an unfortunate chain of events, right? Like, I don't think Wilson was actually trying to hurt him, obviously.
No.
I do think he was just trying to go for the ball, and Gage was falling at a really, not an awkward angle, but, I mean, Wilson was already coming in for the hit, and Gage was falling, like I said, with his back to him. So that was kind of scary, man. I didn't see the DeMar Hamlin hit, injury, event, whatever you want to call that. Obviously, I'm aware of everything that happened. So to see Gage go down like that, and not to be funny, but homie kind of like flopped on the floor there for a second, like I'm not a medical professional, but borderline seizure type shit, and I was like, oh shit, like So that was actually it was really sketchy, yeah. So As of now, I mean, reports are indicating that he's going to be just fine. But yeah, that was
That's
hairy
good.
for a second, man.
Wilson is such a necessary player for the Cowboys, too, because I feel like the Cowboys have a lot of good players, but he's
They
tough,
set
dude. He's
they
tough,
set
man.
the tone early.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Godwin got smoked over the middle,
He
Wilson
got
hit
smoked
Godwin a
twice.
couple times,
Yeah.
man, real
and I think
hard.
Hurst did too. Yeah.
Yeah, he got hit twice, and then the third time, he stayed down. I think the third time was the Mukwamo hit that forced the fumble or whatever.
Yep. It was. Yeah.
He didn't like that, and then he
Yeah.
got hit one more time, and he stayed down again.
Yeah,
But
he was starting to take a couple seconds to think about what he was going to be doing, fucking
Yeah,
at his next
yeah.
job or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
he was like, "Tom, stop throwing me hospital balls over the middle." Jeez.
No kidding. No kidding.
What? Yeah. What else? What else we got? Who would you
Uh,
guys have given the game ball to? Let's go there. Stash, we'll start with you.
That's easy. Dak.
Okay. If you had to give a game ball out and it couldn't go to Dak, who would you give it to?
Micah.
Okay.
Micah stepped up his game from the past
Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks. He said
Yeah.
he tweeted out, he's like, "Hey, we're in the playoffs now. I'm going to another level." He
Yeah.
brought another level.
Yo,
Yeah.
man. Speaking
Did he
of
get a
that,
half a sack or a sack on that?
He
just
got
a
a sack.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, full sack.
I tweeted this out weeks ago, and it was half-hearted, right? Like it was not serious, but it was something to the effects essentially of like, and I'd have to go back, right? Like it's obviously still on Twitter what week it was, but it was within the last like 4 or 5 weeks that it better come out at one point that Dan Quinn's just been trolling us during the regular season, right? Like with the way the defense had kind of just fallen off, and there's no way you can't tell me that. I mean, he did not change something schematically towards the end of the regular season to, I don't know, just
LVE got hurt.
hide plays. Yeah,
He
I mean
didn't-
LVE, Hankins, but like, there's no way you can tell me it was just them. The entire defense was different last night. It was way back to what we saw the first 6 weeks of the NFL regular season. I am convinced that he did something schematically. He was telling people to just, I don't know, just chill for a couple snaps here and there to save up for the playoffs. I'm convinced that that had to have happened at some point. To what degree, I don't know, but call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever. I think that happened. Maybe that's frowned upon,
I know that's they got Hankins back and LVE back for that game, and I know Tampa Bay is like the worst running offense of like all time. But it was nice to see that they didn't give them anything. Like they didn't just have like 20-yard runs here and there. Because that's what the Cowboys do. I mean, even when those guys were healthy, they were still getting hit up. So it was nice to see they gave them nothing. Even I know they're dog shit run offense, whatever, blah blah blah. But the Cowboys have faced other bad running teams just get tuned up. So it was nice that they didn't allow that to be an option.
Everybody on the defensive line was making plays. It's not like it was just Micah. It wasn't just. I don't even know that DeMarcus Lawrence had a big play. He may have. I'm not trying to say he didn't, but
Armstrong was in the background.
Armstrong
all game.
was. Odigizua was. Jonathan Hankins got a sack, and he might be the slowest dude on their defensive line. Like,
there's no doubt he is. Yeah, he's like 914 pounds. He definitely is.
Holy shit, that is a big dude. They zoomed in on him for the sack, and I was like, oh.
I can't believe he didn't get a penalty for that. Because he kind of like he kind of tossed him or whatever, and Tom Brady gets all the calls. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Dak getting that roughing the passer call,
which was nice to see because he does never get calls.
Right after the hold, it was a holding, right?
Micah got a holding.
Yeah,
call.
Micah got a holding. Yeah. That was. It's good. Love to see it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, love to see it.
Okay.
Let me just say one more thing, man.
Sure.
I know I'm taking over right now, but hold on a second. Can we just real talk here for a second? Also, I watched a little bit of the Fox Sports or whatever, FS1, right? I had a little bit of the ESPN on today. I had a little bit of the Yes Network on. I
like where this is going.
You know what I'm saying? And I heard a little bit too many of people talking about how, man, Tom Brady really doesn't have any weapons and the team wasn't really that talented around him and shit. And I'm like, hold on a second.
He's got more weapons than we
Yeah,
do.
he's got, and I mean they're loaded with. I mean, granted they have some holes, but man, they got all types of talent on that team that most other teams would kill for. I just hate that he played like dog shit. He had 350 yards, about 130 of them didn't count. You know, they were just in the complete garbage time.
He had
You know,
350.
I think it was
Yeah, they're off.
354. I
Yeah,
think
they
to
had
be
a lot of
exact.
yards actually on
Holy
offense. But
crap!
You know, but I'm saying it was none of it was in any kind of relevant time at all. He had like a 50% completion. You know, it was an awful game. He had about 10, 12 passes in the game that like, you know, Ben DiNucci wouldn't make. You know what I'm saying? But it just makes me sick, man, that like they just he played like crap. Nobody wants to say anything about it in the media or whatever that I was watching. You know what I'm saying? And that there's no talent on that team, man. Give me a
so,
break with that stuff,
I,
man.
so where I thought you were going with this actually,
All right.
and I'll just add on, I guess, is so today, as you could have put a lot of money on, was that if Dallas won, all of the talk in the national media would be, oh, they beat the worst playoff team in
Yeah,
there,
yeah. Oh,
the
true. Yeah.
the below 500 record, blah blah blah, which is true, right? Like Tampa Bay is arguably the worst playoff team, and they are obviously a below 500 team. That's not our problem. I'm not
They should
apologizing
have
for that
forfeited the
loss.
spot then, yeah, if they couldn't
But
handle that.
before
Yeah.
the game yesterday and the week leading up to it and everything, everyone
Everyone
in
was
the
picking
national media
Tampa.
was making this Tampa Bay Super Bowl, right? Like, this is
Yeah.
going to be the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. This is going to be better than the Miracle on Ice. This is going to be the best football game, blah, 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 blah. And then the second Dallas wins, it's like, yeah, like you said, like it was like
Worst
they
game of the
just beat the
weekend.
fucking high school fucking JV
Yeah.
squad or something. Like,
Their
man, shut
whole
up.
team
Like,
wasn't out there. You know what I mean?
Everybody
There
was
wasn't nobody.
everybody and their mother was picking Tampa to beat Dallas, but now
yeah,
that
that too.
Dallas
That
wins,
too.
it's Tampa's not any good.
And I mean, we got to. That's something we can. You know, we should expect as Cowboy fans. You know, they get all the attention either way or whatever. So nobody's going to give us any credit for getting that W. You know what I mean? But like, and I wasn't looking for credit for the W. I'm just looking. Hey, man, like Tom Brady's the GOAT. Okay, he might be the Billy Goat because he's old as shit and he shouldn't be on the field anymore. You know, that could be a possibility. You know what I mean? But like, come on, man. He played like crap, and he's got plenty of run. I mean, like they made it sound like such a big deal that Leonard for they don't run the ball. Man, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that can't run the ball.
It's true.
Yeah.
But you got Mike Evans on the outside. Godwin's supposed to be good. They got a Cole. No, not Cole.
Julio,
The tight end Julio. I mean, he's washed or whatever. But the tight end.
Brate. Yeah, Cameron Brate.
No, yeah, but the other one who made
Otten.
Otten, yeah, Kate Otten or whatever. They got the right tackles really good. They were making the whole big deal about Jensen coming back as the All-Pro center, like, and the left tackle who's gets mad penalties, but he's Donovan Smith. He was a high draft pick, and then the defense is stacked. Like, give me a fucking break. They got torched on defense. You know what I mean? So Vita Vea got. I mean, he had the first. He was good on the first play of the game or first drive of the game. Didn't see him all game, but I mean, both of the inside linebackers are outstanding. You know, Antoine Whitfield's a great safety. Like, give me a break. There's no talent on that team. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. So let's shift for a couple minutes before we close out.
Yeah.
Where do we take this? Do we? So
Yes.
Stash already kind of asked, so what do we think the Dallas needs to replicate to have the most success in San Fran? And I think, yeah, we all agreed it was the defense. I mean, do you just want to jump right into San Fran or save that for another episode, like later
we
in
should
the
save
week?
that. We should save that for another episode. But
Alright.
I mean, just on Stash's point, or I guess we all agreed on it.
Yeah.
Is that it is going to be a different defensive. I mean, because San Francisco's going to run the ball too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good at it. So I mean, everybody's going to have big games, but we're gonna. I mean, it's just, can we match their physicality? That's what it's going to come down to.
Can Dallas if Dallas gets the pressure that they got on Brady last night? San Francisco's in trouble because Purdy's going to shit his pants.
Yeah.
I would think so. Yeah.
I don't know how much that San Francisco game you guys watch, and again, not to get too deep into this, because like I said, we'll try and do another episode later in the
Yes.
week or whatever.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy threw a lot of really interceptable passes going across the fields. I would assume if that is the case, if they put Purdy in a position to play like he did in the first half, I know he had a really strong second half, but if they can get him to play like he did in the first half of their game, I mean that's going to be an easy, maybe not easy. It should be a very convincing win again for the Dallas defense. There's no way they're going to put three safeties out on the field that aren't going to pick those balls off.
Right.
again, they got to force him to get back into those situations. It's going to be easier said than done.
Sure.
But yeah, man, Purdy did not play good in that first half, so we shall see. And then Stash, did you have snap counts yet or no? I wasn't sure.
I couldn't find anybody
Okay.
with him out there.
All right.
So.
One other
Yeah,
thing
well,
before I
next time.
forget, and again, more for the next episode, is I would not be surprised if we see going into San Fran that Barr takes a little bit less snaps, and maybe we see. I don't know that we see Cox come onto the field, but I do think we see.
You have to be active.
Right. Damn. Who's to do with the fucking spinal fusion?
Clark.
Clark should hopefully. I mean, assuming he's good to go again, get more snaps because I think they're going to be stretching the field east and west more than north and south. So and Barr's not chasing anyone, let alone
not a Barr
let
game,
alone
for
McCaffrey and Samuel east and west.
I did see that Peters is probably out this coming week.
Yeah, I don't know how much that changes. I mean, it's a hit. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know how much that actually changes. The offensive line played really well against that Tampa front. I know Shaq Barrett wasn't playing, but they have other studs on that defensive line, like Will was kind of saying before. So I would acknowledge it as it is going to be a hit. I think it would be a deficiency, but I don't know that it's enough to change anything in the game plan or outcome.
Dallas figured out their run game on the right side behind Smith and Martin. Smith had a really good game yesterday. So if that continues,
it's good.
Should be
a
good weekend.
And as I've been saying for weeks, Zeke needs to ride the fucking bench. He's going to get more
snaps this game than he did last game. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. Somebody said it in a different podcast. I don't know or I heard it somewhere, but they were saying like when Zeke gets the ball on offense, it's pretty much a wasted down.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers aren't lying, but he may not get more carries, or he's gonna be on the field more because he's gonna be picking up pass blocking, or unless they're dominating. Unless the offensive line is dominating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but
that was the problem last year, right? Is that the offensive line got this crappy done by San Francisco.
Offensive line needs to nut up.
It's true.
All right.
True.
Let's close it out there. Like previously mentioned, we're going to try and push another episode out later in the week, hopefully. So keep on the lookout for that. We will see y'all next time.
Peace. Late.